Picture of a man at the top of his profession. Dr. Randall Owings of the Department of Phobology. In his tenure as director, Mr. Owings has grappled with the very depths of human terror. He considers himself a pioneer, one who ventures into the realm of darkness to bring to it the light of reason. But you are about to witness Mr. Owings as he embarks on a new adventure, one into the untraveled annals of the borderless confines.
I have been getting reports of some of the lax behavior regarding SCP-2006. Many personnel have been heard laughing about SCP-2006 during surveillance, when it watches a new movie, or when it attempts to scare individuals. Some personnel have been heard questioning why SCP-2006 is classified as a Keter entity. I am here to remind you that a Keter entity is a Keter entity, regardless of how innocuous it may seem. No, SCP-2006 is not a rampaging demigod, or is it a regenerating super lizard. However, it possesses the same level of danger as any other Keter that the Foundation has contained. Think of SCP-2006's purpose. It wishes to scare people. Imagine what it would happen if SCP-2006 broke containment and found out what really scared people. Imagine if it saw the horror and fear of war, or the concepts of paranoia or phobias common to each and every human being. Imagine if it found the true horror of a nuclear holocaust or an XK-class scenario. Now, couple that with an entity that possesses shape-shifting abilities with no known limits, and you'll understand why it's classified as Keter. All personnel mentioned above have been suitably disciplined. I do not want to hear about this again. Dr. Randall Owings, Site-118 Director.
Updating SCP-2006 file.
Item number: SCP-2006. Object Class: Keter. Neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. In interest of maintaining its veracity, this file may only be edited by individuals with Level 5 8066 clearance. SCP-2006 is to be held in a standard humanoid containment cell. To prevent further psychological decline, it may only interact with Level 5 8066 personnel and is to be given access to entertainment media. Barring a recently developed antipathy for the horror genre, SCP-2006 has not expressed any particular media preferences. Description: SCP-2006 is an anomalous spherical entity with the capability to alter its body's shape, size, and composition with no known limits. Its stated goal is to evoke fear and dread in as many humans as possible, though its conception of fear has been heavily influenced by classic horror and science fiction films, significantly limiting the scope of its desires. Maintaining this conception has been deemed crucial for its continued containment.
Updating description.
SCP-2006 in containment. Description: SCP-2006 is a humanoid entity with the appearance of a human woman in her mid to late 30s. Following Incident 8066-2, it does not appear to possess any anomalous attributes. Incident 8066.2. On September 3, 2024 at 2:01 a.m., several discrete instances of anomalous phenomena simultaneously took place across Site-118. Of such phenomena, the following occurred within SCP-2006 containment cell. Location: Gamma Wing, Containment Cell 506. SCP-2006 sits in its chair, watching the 1959 horror film The Tingler for the 6th time in a row, while assuming the form of the Gill Man from 1954's Creature from the Black Lagoon. It mumbles softly to itself. SCP-2006 cell shakes slightly, and its lights briefly dim. A distant rumbling sound is faintly audible. SCP-2006 looks up and the camera feed cuts out. Site-118's security system receives 2 frames of video in immediate succession. Frame 1. SCP-2006 cell is dark, lit only by the television screen set to static. The chair has been shattered. A humanoid figure with indistinct features is huddled in the far corner of the room. A second figure is hanging upside down from the ceiling over the screen. Frame 2. SCP-2006 cell is even darker. The frame is solid black, save for the section featured in the attached image. The cell's camera feed is reestablished. SCP-2006, now in human form and sitting in a still intact chair, continues to watch the film as though nothing has happened. The Tingler concludes. SCP-2006 becomes newly aware of its altered form. It appears confused and upset by this development, being seemingly unable to change its shape. SCP-2006 starts to weep. Interview. SCP-2006. Interviewer, Dr. Randall Owings. SCP-2006 is slumped in its chair, staring at nothing. Its television is paused midway through the 1947's film Scared to Death. When Dr. Owings enters the cell, it jerks out of its stupor.
Miss Joe, you're finally... You're not Miss Joe. My name is Dr. Owings. I'll be performing your interviews for the time being while Researcher Lowe is indisposed. Oh, you're Mr. Randy. Miss Joe told me about you. Please, call me Dr. Owings. Okay, is Miss Joe sick? I've never been left alone this long before. Researcher Lowe is fine. Everyone's fine.
SCP-2006 nods slowly.
I think I might be sick. Can you tell me why? I haven't been able to change the way I look for days. I've been stuck in looking like some lady, and not like monster lady like a Draggler's Daughter or Bride of Frankenstein or anything. It's awful. Is that why you haven't done anything to frighten me? I'll admit I've been on tenterhooks ever since I walked in. I was sure you were about to do something truly blood-curdling, like sneaking up behind you and shouting boo.
Dr. Owing feigns a frightened shiver.
Ooh. Yes, like that. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
SCP-2006 shrugs.
My heart's just not in it anymore, I guess. Have you noticed anything else while you've been sick? Any strange sensations? When you feel shivery and hot and cold and like you want to hide under your bed, is that a sensation? That sounds like fear. Are you scared, SCP-2006? Yes, I think so. Do you know why? I'm scared of whatever did this to me. And I'm scared it's just getting started.
Refer to attached documentation for further information regarding associated anomalous phenomena.
Accessing SCP-8066 file.
Item number SCP-8066. Object class Skotos. Research and documentation of the item is still in progress or severely lacking. Special containment procedures. In interest of maintaining its veracity, this file may only be edited by individuals with level 5 8066 clearance. Personnel must possess complete immunity to SCP-8066 antimemetic effects to be assigned level 5 8066 clearance. Presently, only Dr. Randall Owings. Dr. Owings is to record all experienced SCP-8066 events to the best of his ability. SCP-8066 existence is to be made known to his colleagues by any means necessary. Description: SCP-8066 is the collective designation for anomalous phenomena surrounding Dr. Randall Owings, Director of Site-118 and the Department of Phobology. The cause of SCP-8066 is presently unknown. Incident 8066-1. Dr. Owings and Deputy Site Director Verity Price are walking through the Keter containment section of Site-118's Gamma Wing. Price is holding a clipboard and a pen, writing as she goes.
How prepared are we for Halloween this year?
It's difficult to say. Fear exists within the unknown and the unexpected. It cannot be anticipated. And fearful things flock to the season like maggots to a corpse.
Morbid.
Dr. Owings and Price pass the door to Containment Cell 605.
But accurate. Has Nomenclature sent you their report yet?
Department of Nomenclature. Foundation Department tasked with the study and containment of name-affecting anomalies, such as
the woods that spur in description.
Sort of. Their newest info hazard is continuing to make communication difficult.
Wonderful. I take it Dr. Japers at Site 8 is still ignoring our emails.
Dr. Owings and Price pass the door to Containment Cell 607.
Seems to be.
I think we should.
Dr. Owings trails off and stops, then looks behind him.
Dr. Owings?
We haven't had any layout shifts recently, have we?
Site 118 is housed within Labyrinth underneath the Sonoran Desert, which sporadically shifts parts of its internal structure.
Sensors haven't picked up any activity since July.
Then where did SCP-106 cell go?
Huh?
Dr. Owings points.
The door to Containment Cell 606 is missing.
I don't follow. Are you feeling all right, Randall?
Dr. Owings turns back to stare coldly at Price.
That's Dr. Owings, Deputy Director. Are you really telling me you don't know what SCP-106 is?
Don't know what?
SCP-106. The teleporting matter-corroding mass murderer. We used SCP-2006 to trap it here back in 1961. Not ringing any bells?
As Dr. Owings speaks, Price's eyes glaze over. Her hands tighten on the clipboard, knuckling white, then relax.
I'm sorry, I spaced out for a moment there. You were saying something about Halloween preparations.
After determining that Price was no longer capable of remembering SCP-106, Dr. Owings contacted Agent Benedict Lugosi, Site-118's Chief of Security, requesting that he check Cell 606's internal camera feed. Upon hearing about SCP-106, Agent Lugosi began displaying confusion and short-term memory loss, similar to that experienced by Price. Realizing that communication regarding SCP-106 was currently untenable, Dr. Owings traveled to his office and used his security clearance to directly access the Cell 606 internal feed from his computer. All recorded footage prior to September 1st, 2024 appears to have been deleted prematurely due to a system error. All footage after this point is uniform. SCP-106 container is nowhere in sight. The room is clean and white, devoid of corrosion or the black, mucus-like substance that typically forms in the anomaly's immediate presence. The door is missing. SCP-106 is lying in the center of the room, curled into a fetal position. It is whimpering quietly, and its eyes are tightly squeezed shut.
Notes. I currently believe that SCP-8066 is some kind of roaming anti-meme that came into contact with SCP-106. Even the news site AIC we recently installed appeared to be affected by it. So I've had to do the video log transcripts by hand. My immunity to SCP-8066, conversely, is possibly born of my unusually high CRV. Robust mental defenses are a requirement for leading the phobology department, and the nestic supplements they give all high-clearance personnel. I'll be sending this document to the Anti-Memetics Division to see if a cure for SCP-8066 effects can be synthesized quickly. If SCP-106's emotional state returns to baseline while it's still anti-memetic, we'll have no defense against it.
Incident 8066.2. On September 3rd, 2024 at 2:01 a.m., several discrete instances of anomalous phenomena simultaneously took place across Site-118. Incident 8066-2-1. Site-118's Delta Wing experiences minor tremors and a distant rumbling sound for 14 seconds. Neither are experienced by other wings. Incident 8066-2-2. Approximately 100 kilograms of desiccated snakeskins slide out of various air vents around Beta Wing. Incident 8066-2-3. The corpse of an unidentified male manifests beneath Dr. Owings' desk in Gamma Wing. It vanishes 66 seconds later, though its stench lingers for several more hours. Incident 8066-2-4. SCP-2006 loses all anomalous attributes.
Notes. At first, I assumed these phenomena were unrelated to SCP-8066. After all, in places like Site-118, unexplainable things happens all the time. Then I tried to talk about getting the snakeskins cleaned up and found that nobody could understand me. And that was when I realized that 8066 may be a significantly larger problem than initially estimated.
Incident 8066.3. On September 6, 2024, Dr. Owings departed from Site-118 with the intention of picking up a number of personal effects from his house, so that he could more easily live on site until the issue of SCP-8066 had been resolved. Upon reaching his house, Dr. Owings discovered that the front door had been forced open and left ajar. As several similar break-ins had recently occurred in the area, Dr. Owings initially believed that the incident was non-anomalous in nature and called local authorities to report the crime.
I'd like to report a break-in.
Is the crime currently in progress?
No, they were long gone when I got here.
Can you give me the location of the break-in?
55 Englewood Drive. They messed up the place pretty bad. Broke some of the back windows, tipped the TV over. Even... shit. What is that?
Are you currently in a safe place?
Yes, I'm safe, just... I think they cut all the faces out of the framed photographs in my house. It's unsettling.
I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Owings.
It's Doc...
Mr. Owings?
You never asked for my name.
Hmm?
You never asked for my name. How do you know my name?
We'll be with you shortly.
Dr. Owings fled the premises before he could come into contact with the source of the noise. Subsequently, an attempted report to the Foundation revealed that this anomalous event was a manifestation of SCP-8066.
Notes, I've been making too many assumptions. Here I thought the common thread with SCP-8066 was Site-118, that it was lurking in its halls or attempting to hold sway over them, and I happen to be psychologically resistant enough to notice. But it's not that at all. It didn't just follow me home and it was waiting for me. SCP-8066 might only be affecting the site because I'm there. The common thread is myself. Why?
Incident 8066-4. Starting on September 13, 2024 at 4:04 p.m., Site-118 has begun experiencing irregular blackouts in seemingly random sections of the complex. The extent of these blackouts is unclear, as Site-118's structure is vast and only Dr. Owings is currently capable of reporting them. In the event that a blackout prevents exit from the complex, a portable generator and a large supply of food and water has been stored in Dr. Owings' office.
Notes. When I was a child, I was afraid of the dark. This was somewhat problematic as my parents worked long nights, often leaving me to shut the lights off when it was time for bed. I was convinced then that if I lingered in the dark for even a moment, some terrible creature skulking within it would be upon me. It became a ritual of a kind. Each night I would turn off the lights, then rush up the stairs as quickly as I could to hurl myself into bed, certain that the monster's grasping claws were only inches away. Each blackout feels like that to me, but now there's nowhere to run.
Incident 8066-5.
Verity Price's appearance has been subtly changing over time. Every time Dr. Owings looks, every time I look at her, something slightly changed. Her hair is slightly lighter shade, or her nose is a little smaller, or her glasses are of a marginally different make. It's only been 15 days since this all started, and she already looks like an entirely different person. I wouldn't know it was her if it wasn't for everyone else recognizing her like nothing was wrong. I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm going to be looking through old photos of the rest of the staff to see if anyone else has changed. And I'm blocking access to this page from anyone without 8066-5 clearance. Note, choosing to disregard Foundation documentation guidelines for the time being. It isn't worth the effort when I'm the only one reading. Incident 8066-6. At some point in the afternoon of September 19th, I was in the front seat of my car in the site's parking lot. I had no intention of driving anywhere. It's a good hour-and-a-half trip to reach anything from Site-118, as deep as we are in the southern desert. More and more of my colleagues were becoming unrecognizable, and I needed a few moments alone. I needed to be able to stop pretending for a second. I didn't intend to stay there for longer than the duration of a lunch break, but I haven't been sleeping well recently. I must have passed out the moment I started relaxing. When I woke, it had become night, and there was a body strapped into the passenger seat beside me. In the gloom, I couldn't make out much of its features. All that stood out was the cloudy whites of its eyes and its lolling head, staring. There were other things outside of the car too. Shadowy, vaguely humanoid shapes were passing between the cars in the parking lot, softly hissing like gas leaks. When one passed right by me, I could feel a chill emanating off of it like a walking freezer. I fled, of course, the moment I found an unbroken path from the car to the site's entrance. I may have been chased, or I may not. I was too preoccupied with running and scared out of my mind to get a proper sense of my surroundings. I raced to the elevator, only slowing down to flash my identification to the guard at the front door. When the door shut and it started to descend, I nearly collapsed. I was so overwrought at the time I only noticed as I was nearing my stop. The button for the ground floor on the surface was missing. It had disappeared from all of the elevators, and the stairwells were gone entirely. Now there really is nowhere to run. Notes, personnel seems particularly uneasy since Incident 8066.6. Nobody has talked about it or done anything to try to fix the situation, but I'm pretty sure there's been a psychological impact. Could it be possible that 8066 was never anti-memetic at all? It might be something memetic instead, an effect tied to an anomaly on a conceptual level. Perhaps anyone aware of it becomes unable to say or do anything that acknowledges its existence. Unable or too afraid. Incident 8066.7. As of September 23rd, the situation within Site-118 has worsened significantly. The ongoing blackouts are no longer temporary affairs. Large swaths of the complex have ceased operation entirely, though heat and air circulation on my floor is still currently functional. We've lost all light. And I've only been able to use my computer by hooking it up to the portable generator. I've seen things, too, when some of the security cameras still worked. Shadows like from the parking lot, but more agitated, with sharper, flickering edges. I can hear them when they pass by my office, scraping air like radio static. Notes, I don't know what happened to the anomalies we were containing here. Presumably nothing's left to keep them caged, but I haven't heard or seen anything of them. I'm not sure if that's a comfort or not. I want to go home. Incident 8066.8. September 28, 2024. I accidentally cut my arm open, trying to open the packaging on some rations. I thought I'd start bleeding, but I didn't. Nothing was there. It's just empty inside. What? Why is it empty inside? No, why doesn't it hurt? Incident 8066.9. Not available. Notes. I've had a lot of time to think. Trapped in my office. There isn't much else to do when you're lying in the dark, waiting to die. I've been thinking about useless things mostly, looping through the same thoughts over and over, worrying at them like a rotting tooth. I've been thinking about the departments here. Phobology, counter-ontokinetics, and nomenclature. Names that most people wouldn't recognize. Names are so important in a place like this. Names have power. It's why I've always been so particular about titles being referred to as Dr. Owings instead of Mr. Owings or just random. Site-118 is a place where names have tangible weight, and I am, or I was, the man that controls it. The director of Site-118 cannot allow himself to be named so easily. Not without consequence. My colleagues all knew this. So how did SCP-2006 ever learn of my first name?
Auto transmission initiated.
Date, October 1st, 2024. Location, Dr. Owings' office. Dr. Owings is sitting at his desk, his face lit by only the monitor of his desktop. He is typing, then stops.
What the?
Dr. Owings looks up at the office security camera, then back down at the monitor.
Is this transcribing this room's security feed in real time?
Something thumps on the door to the office, startling Dr. Owings. It thumps again and again and again. He wants to move, but he cannot. He is frozen by fear. He feels as though a great hand is pressing down on his chest, rooting him to the floor. The door slowly creaks open. Dr. Owings can't see anything beyond the threshold.
Dr. Owings in the chair starts sinking through the floor. He barely notices. He can't take his eyes off the black pit of the door.
2006, is that you?
Quiet laughter. Something ripples in the dark.
It was.
Dr. Owings shivers. He's sunk into the floor down to his waist.
What? Just the old skin that left behind. It shed me when it became too big for a body.
Terrible comprehension begins to dawn in Dr. Owings' eyes. His breast shudders.
Oh.
The floor is midway up his chest.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, no.
It's too big to see now, but I can see. I can show you.
No, please. Oh, God, please.
His mouth sinks below the surface, silencing his plea.
It's okay if we're afraid.
We'll move together.
Item number SCP-2006. Object class Keter neutralized.
Mikito, it's half past too late. Special containment procedures. All subjects are to stay in their boxes. All boxes and things that are not boxes are to be held very close. Description: SCP-2006 is. SCP-2006 is an anomalous spherical entity. SCP-2006 is holding a box. SCP-2006 is listening closely. SCP-2006 is Keter. SCP-2006 is a low-quality horror or science fiction movie. SCP-2006 is expressing fear and surprise. SCP-2006 is the mighty Roman. SCP-2006 is the monster from the Black Lagoon. SCP-2006 is the bride of Frankenstein. SCP-2006 is Vincent Price. SCP-2006 is Harlan Ellison. SCP-2006 is a law of nature. SCP-2006 is afraid. SCP-2006 is already here. SCP-2006 is. SCP-2006 is. SCP-2006 is.
Subject: Deputy Site Director Verity Price. Box: Site 118. Verity Price is finishing an expense report in her cramped little office when Randall Owings appears in her doorway and says,
Come here. I need to show you something.
Verity barely glances up.
Is it important? I need to get this finished before midnight.
Come here.
He repeats and drags himself into the office, visibly limping. Has he hurt his leg? Is he drunk? His speech has a slurred quality, like he's not sure how to form the syllables. In the gloom of her office, she can barely make out his expression.
I need to show you something.
Dr. Owings?
Verity asks, mouth going dry. He lurches forward, looming like a horrible monument, features slack.
Randall, what's this about?
Come here.
Owings enters the lamplight and she finally sees. He doesn't have any eyes. His sockets are empty pits. Looking into them, she feels a wave of nausea and vertigo, like she's about to fall in. He grabs her by the arm, fingers digging in painfully.
I need to show you something.
On sudden, terrified impulse, Verity takes the lamp with her other hand and slams it into the side of his head. There is barely any resistance. The left hemisphere of his head caves in like paper mache, like it's just skin with nothing inside it. He's just skin. Owing's grip does not loosen.
Come here. I need to show you something.
Suddenly, more people are flooding into the office. Agent Lugosi and Dr. Lewis and intern Zuko and others besides, each eyeless and grasping, repeating the same horrible demand when they force her to the ground and start the laborious process of hollowing her out. She can still hear it.
I need to show you something. I need to show you something. I need to show you something. Come here. Come and see.
Subject: Researcher Joe Lowe. Box: Labyrinth. Through an impossible tangle of corridors and passageways, Joe Lowe is running. Something is chasing her. She can't see it, but she feels his rasping breath on the back of her neck. Only a hand's breadth behind her. Her lungs burn, her legs ache. As she runs, the walls change. Smooth beryllium bronze gives way to rusting iron, which turns to concrete, then unhewn stone. The walls close in, narrowing, and she is forced to press herself through thinner and thinner gaps, scraping away layers of skin with each convolution. And still, she pushes forward. She has no other choice. The corridors narrow yet further, and now the crack of bone is heard as the researcher shoves herself through spaces that a human body should not be able to fill. Skin shreds and muscle ruptures, and Joe wishes in vain to scream. Subject: SCP-106. Box: a clean and lovely place. There is an elderly janitor. His back is stooped and his ashen skin is withered, and his uniform is so filthy as to be nearly black. Dark Icarus fluid drips from his nostrils and tarnish the pristine white tiles beneath his frayed boots. The overseer says, "Wipe that up." And he does. The overseer says, "Clean the bathrooms." And he obeys, even as his touch dissolves the pipes of the toilet, sending torrents of contaminated water across the floor. The overseer says, "Be happy." And he smiles. He is happy. The clean place overflows with a pure, searing light that he can see even when he presses his palms over his eyes. There are 1,000 rooms to tend to, and each room crowds with colorless people. They are loud and smiling with lacquered teeth, and the light passes through them like cold wind. The overseer says, "Be happy." And the old man bites clean through his lower lip with the force of his grin. Subject: Dr. Eugene Japers. Box:
The desecrated sanctuary.
The thing that calls itself Eugene Japers wakes up lashed to a long table.
The forest where singing is no longer heard.
There are figures crowded around the table, chattering to one another excitedly and jostling for a space, like guests at a fantastic feast. Eugene opened his mouth to, what, negotiate? beg for mercy? But no words come out. Instead, a name crawls up his throat and out of his mouth, glistening and beetle-winged. The host of the party plucks the name from his swollen lips and bites down on it, chewing leisurely. "How does it taste?" asks a guest, visibly drooling.
"It's tart,"
says the host.
"Quite tart. I think I'll try another."
It wipes his mouth with its sleeve, smearing name juice.
"Fetch me a blade."
Someone passes the host a chipped cleaver. Holding the dull blade up to the light, it meets Eugene's eyes for the first time and grins, like they're sharing a private joke.
"What do you think the rest will taste like?"
it asks. Then it reaches down and cuts off Eugene's left index finger. Names, one by one, begins to trickle out of the newly formed stump. Eugene opens his mouth to cry out in pain, but no sound comes. Instead, even more names come scrabbling up his throat, fluttering and ink-stained. The guests take this as their cue to eat, each grasping for a name, as the host continues to cut away at Eugene's hand. Dunk, middle finger. Dunk, ring finger. Dunk, pinky. Dunk, thumb. Eugene breathes heavily, sodden with sweat. Names dribbles out of the corner of his mouth. Someone is saying something, but the words haze together. The pain is too much. He cannot bear it. The host reaches for his right hand. Subject: Dr. Randall Owings. Box: Home. There is a box at the center of the universe, and it is full of meat. Randall Owings suspends from the ceiling like a butchered animal, dangling on his own glistening cords. His head lolls, the air swelters. Everything reeks of iron and bile. Huge veins that are corroded pipes that are filled with streaked glass tubes run along every possible surface, all coming to meet at some pulsating nexus above Randall's head, just beyond his range of vision. When he squints, he can see something moving beneath the skin of the vein pipes, shapeless and terrible, fear in its most undiluted form. Something touches the crown of his skull and travels downwards. A pair of serpents that are hypodermic needles that are long, wormy tendrils. When they reach the edge of his brow, they turn and, rearing back, plunge into his eyes. Randall shivers and seizes like a man electrocuted, mouth gaping without sound. The veins in his head caress his optical nerve, and impossible colors flash across his non-vision. He feels as though magma is bubbling behind his temples, threatening to burst through. Then the needles sink into both hemispheres of his brains, and he sees reality is made of intimate tortures, and he sees them all individually and all at once. It is terror without release, suffering without death, a nightmare without end. Tears stream down his face. Something touches his cheek very gently. "Are you scared, Randy?" And Randall starts to scream, and the world screams with him.